and it's as simple as clicking a button. How are you guys and girls? We're back.
We're back.
For another instalment of the Zolo and KT show.
On a Saturday.
That was a bit radio-ish.
Yeah.
You know, the opening there, don't you reckon?
Just
I'm going back to my radio roots.
The music behind.
Yeah, the music behind. The microphone's down. I was just speaking to Lauren about this before when I first did my first radio show. How I was like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Zolo show. And then no one heard it because all the microphones are down. So thank God for podcasting. And let's see if the microphones are up. Anyway, that's it.
Yeah.
Welcome in, Lauren Blundell. How you going?
Good, thank you. Blundell.
Blundell, I'm sorry. That's well, there you go. I knew I was going to make a fuck up somewhere.
Do you know what? It's really funny. My whole life I've been correcting everyone saying that you pronounce my last name Blundell, but my grandmother pronounces it Blundell, so I think I'm pronouncing my last name wrong.
I'm putting a flair on the end. It's
Yeah.
Blundell.
Blundell.
Like
Exactly.
bouquet instead of bucket.
Well, welcome in. What an entrance. That was one of my favourite entrances.
You do like a stuff up.
Yeah, I do like a stuff up. That's what life's about, though, isn't it? Don't you reckon? We've got to, the
Owning the
imperfections,
flaws.
owning the flaws. That's it. So welcome in. So tell us a little bit more about what Lauren Blundell does for, not a living, a calling. Would you say it's a calling?
It is a calling, definitely. People ask me, how do you get into this? And I was like, I was born for it.
Mhm.
It's written in the stars. Really. So I am a relationship and intimacy coach. I'm based on the Northern Beaches and I work from home. So I help couples bring love, joy, and intimacy back to their relationships and help them have better sex lives.
Hell yeah.
So how did you get into that side of things? Because that is such a skew from a normal corporate job that you've been in.
Yeah.
So how did it funnel its way down to that?
Yeah, intrinsically I enjoy helping people. So it was like, okay, I want to do a profession where I get to help people. And it just was one of those alignment things where I started studying human behavior and I was going through the modules and then a relationship coaching module came up and I was like, yeah, this is it. Because I started out wanting to be a business coach and realized I knew nothing about business. I was like, okay, that's minor detail. And then when I came across relationships, it's just one of those gut feelings that happens. You're like, yeah, this is it for me. And then the sexuality piece of it has come a little bit later. And it was when I became completely comfortable with my sexuality as a woman. I love men, I date men, I will marry men, but I also very much attracted to women and I sleep with women too. And once I actually became comfortable with that in myself, I was like, wow, this is super empowering. And I guess a piece of me that I was suppressing for so long and so scared to bring up with past partners for fear of what they would say or judge or not love me. And once I became really confident within myself, I was able to have those conversations. So I want to empower other people to be completely confident in their sexuality and show up however they like to show up and have the confidence to speak their truth and tell their partner what their needs, desires, and wants are in the bedroom so you can have more connected sexual relations.
Yeah, wow. And it's such a huge part of relationships, isn't it? And I know since having kids, that can go to the wayside as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So in terms of who you help, is there, we know it's sexual, we know it's relationship, is there a major component or a part of that comes out even more? Is it male? Is it female? Is it a certain age group? Is it that after kids, is it people who are scared of their sexuality or to come out with their sexuality?
Yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag of everything that you said. I've worked with just men, I've worked with just females, I've worked with couples, people who... Like the main problem that I solve in relationship is definitely the reconnection after a long period of time, and children can be a component of that. Infidelity within relationship is a big problem that I solve, and then when I'm working with people in a siloed sense, just one half of the couple or when they're single, it is understanding themselves sexually and understanding that they're okay in, this one client, she squirts, but she doesn't squirt, she gushes, and it's understanding that that's okay, like it's your body, like it's all beautiful however you show up, but working through that and becoming more, confident with how her body
Do you think the access to online pornography and even social media, people, trying to be perfection in how they look and how they perceive, can that hamper how they are sexually? Like seeing such beautiful photos of women and men,
Absolutely.
and not being built that way, or
Yeah.
and then thinking, well, I'm ugly. I don't want to take my clothes off. I want to keep the light out. Does that have an impact as well?
Totally. Like, we're watching porn, you think about it, like a man and a woman come together, he rips her clothes off and then she starts moaning.
Yeah.
Like that's essentially what porn is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So women are like, if they're not moaning like that in the first 5 minutes, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And then a massive component of that is I'm taking too long to orgasm, to reach pleasure, to come, in a sense. So that, and in a general sense, women take up to 40 minutes to open completely to pleasure.
40 minutes?
Yeah.
What the hell are we going to do for 40 minutes?
Well,
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm good.
What are you going to do for the other 37 and a half?
Yeah, exactly.
That's not including taking your pants off as well.
So men can reach orgasm in a general sense, I'm being really general here, in 7 minutes, and women are up to 40.
So what do you? How do we like? I don't know what.
Bridge that gap.
Yeah, bridge that gap.
Foreplay, slow it down.
Yeah.
You can, like, unfortunately, we're taught that sex is just P and V.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more to that. There's the foreplay. There's even before getting into the bedroom. There's the tantalizing before that. The sensuality before that. The eye gazing. The touch. It really doesn't need to be just ripping each other's clothes off and just shoving
Going
yourself.
for it.
Yeah, shoving yourself.
Shoving yourself.
Where was I going?
That's
You said that. I didn't say anything. I was trying to tame myself down.
No, sorry.
That's good.
Well, that was working with one half of the equation.
Yeah.
No, we both doubled.
Why is sex such a taboo subject? Like, we even giggle about talking about penises and vaginas, and I'm 31, you're 21, 22, aren't you? You
25.
girls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm 19.
19. Why is it a taboo subject? And do you reckon we need more people like yourself to make people feel, I don't know, lack of a better term, not make people, but help people feel more comfortable around the subject of sex?
Yeah.
Because even now, just saying sex, penis, and vagina, it's like, it feels weird, hey?
Yeah. Okay, well, let me put the question back to you, is where did you learn about sex?
School.
Okay. And how was that? How was your sex education?
Well, it was school and my friends that, generally, them telling me that this is how I've done it and all this sort of stuff. And now I'm thinking, shit, I've got to, pull my head in. But then worked out these friends are just watching porn anyway. And it's just all about ripping girls' clothes off and going for it. So it's just, the sex education's never been really, no one's really taught anyone, really, has that?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. So
putting a condom on a banana doesn't really count, I don't think.
No. I remember my sex ed in school was about my menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
And then it was like, and then you have sex, and then you have a baby. So
it's like, what about all the in between?
I think they put a marriage in between the sex. It was like you meet a guy, you get married first, and then you have the sex.
Then you have a baby, and that's it. So sex is being taught really basic. It's very functional. It's you do it to procreate and that's it, and you do it after you get married. There's nothing about pleasure. There's nothing about owning your own pleasure. There's nothing about desire, sexual energy, nothing.
Yeah.
So we're left to kind of go, okay, like that's obviously the social construct and the stigma that is around sex, but I'm having sex with all these other people too. And I'm touching myself. Where does masturbation come into the whole equation? Yeah, so sex education is pretty underwhelming globally.
Do you reckon it's because of religion as well? That sounds pretty deep.
Yeah,
because everything that you do, like you talk about, masturbation. I don't even know how to say that word properly. Masturbation. Masturbation. I feel like
you know how to do it, but you don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, exactly right. But you always think of that as like a sin, And growing up, like I went to a Catholic school, so those sorts of things you can't really talk about. You can't really do anything about. So it's just, as you get older, you sort of work it out on your own. But do you reckon?
Yeah, but then you feel shame and guilt. For
Yeah,
doing
exactly
it
right. Why?
You've been taught when you're in school, especially if you're come from a religious background. Or I'm also baptized Catholic, so I went to Catholic schools as well. And I remember in one of my classes, one of my teachers was telling me that you've got to think of yourself as a rose, and every time that you give your body to someone, a petal comes off, and a petal comes off. Yeah, so you don't want to essentially give your husband a stem by the end of it. And I was like, wow, thanks for that pep talk.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah, so don't have sex outside of marriage. And unfortunately, we as humans, and I'm doing a lot of research into the human evolution and the evolution of our sexual behaviour, and we're not monogamous by behaviour. We were quite promiscuous in prehistoric era. So it is within our blood to
have multiple partners.
Yeah, I mean, who have any of us just had sex with one person?
No. Yeah, I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay.
Please.
Well, I can count on one hand how many people in my life have actually slept with just one person their entire life. Majority of us have slept with multiple partners, and that's because monogamy is it's a construct, it's a man-made thing, it's something that we've been doing from the dawn of time.
So if it's in our DNA to be promiscuous, how does a long-term relationship come into it? Like, is this a relatively new thing if we're looking at humanity? Like, I mean, obviously newer because we've been around for thousands of years. So
350,000.
350,000 years. So
I don't know when monogamy came in, but you've got to think back. Like, monogamy was essentially a business contract. So people got married to strengthen their lineage, to strengthen their financial situation, and older men married younger, fertile women, so then they could have a child and carry on their name and all the rest of it. They had affairs for love. They had affairs for desire. So there was no love in marriage when we first first started.
Well, okay. Did you say there's no love in marriage?
There was no marriage.
There was no love in marriage.
Love.
Yeah,
it wasn't about love. It was a business contract. It was about strengthening family ties and lineage and status and stuff like that. It's only in more recent times that we get married because of that emotional connection of love, and we want our partner to be our best friend and our best sex partner and best parent and all the rest of it. And there's lots of pressure on marriages now for our partners to be all the things.
Yeah, okay. Is that why you think that? Do you think that most of 50% of marriages end up in divorce because of that? Because it's we put people too much on a pedestal.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of pressure on marriage these days for our partners to be everything. I don't think a lot of people where did we learn to love? Where did we learn our first places where we learn to relate is in the family home, and we've all grown up with some form of dysfunction. So coming into your adult relationships and bringing that into your adult relationships, then you're both operating from your realities. And instead of actually looking at your partner and going, okay, they're operating from their reality, from their map of the world, and I want to understand their map of the world, and parking your map to the side and getting to a level of understanding there. But instead, where arguments come in is that you're actually clashing your maps together. You're clashing your versions of reality. So
it's almost like we're in a fight. I'm trying to get her to see my point of view, and then you're trying to get me to see your point of view, as in my partner.
Yeah.
And that's where the clash comes into play. So we've both got to just drop our point of view and just seek a level of acceptance and understanding.
Correct.
No.
So do you believe in the construct of marriage, essentially? Is it something that you see that...
There's a pause there, Katie.
Contract?
There's a bit of a pause.
As my mum says, we were brought up in a household which was very open to everything, and we had a lot of gay friends around and whatnot. My brother's gay. Yeah. And when marriage equality came through, my mum said, I'm glad they are, it is equal, but why would they want to do it? Is the thing, is they should have the rights to be able to do it, but I don't understand why they'd want to do it.
Yeah, I'm grappling with this myself because marriage on one hand to me is like a sense of ownership. I own you, but I think true partnership is where you set the other person free. So marriage, yeah, I get it. And I think about myself and I'm like, how sexy would it be to take a man's name? I think that's a really, really beautiful part of marriage. And if I ever had children, I'd want us all to, be a little tribe together. But that's not, just because you're married doesn't mean that you're going to have a great relationship. It's to do with the two people within it and how they show up and they understand their energy and understand them as a person and their map of the world and really commit to the longevity and to the health of their relationship.
So do you think that, because I've done my celibrancy course, so do you think that that terminology and that marriage under the one banner will change, or will we get to this, come away from this, for life, for better, for worse, sort of
death do us part?
Death do us part?
Like,
freaky. That freaks me out, someone saying that. Death to us part.
Yeah.
Unless you're 90.
Unless I'm 90.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Exactly, but nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
And marriage doesn't either. Our lives don't last forever. That's the only, what's the saying? Like, the only thing that is certain is death.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
You
And
can't
paying taxes.
guarantee. Yeah, exactly.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's it. So standing in front of someone and pledging those vows, like, it's really beautiful, but like, let's be honest, 50% of marriages end in divorce, so they're not really adhering to the vows. So I think it's a beautiful celebration of love, but it's not about the wedding day, it's about the marriage. It's about every day, the routine of getting up and having that person there every single time, and working through
the daily stuff, the boring grind. Because we're not married, we're engaged, and everybody keeps saying, when are you going to get married? We've been together we've got a child together, we've got a house together. I'm like, maybe never.
Yeah.
I'd rather go on an all-paid overseas trip for $20,000 than throw it into a day for all my friends to eat and drink, even though I do love weddings for that reason. But
other people.
That's right. You spend the money. But yeah, maybe we do have to change that, because now weddings are more of a civil ceremony than they are unless you're from a religious factor. So maybe it is changing that construct as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful.
So you study human behaviour and you study Tantra, did you say Tantra? You're studying Tantra.
Yeah.
Can you give us a brief overview of what actually is Tantra? Because in my mind I just think it's just different.
4 hours of sex.
Yeah, 4 hours of sex. Putting your leg up in the air here and doing this over here. I don't really know what it is. I just thought it was just sex moves, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's a way of life, really, and just accepting that everyone is different. And like, this is the thing, like, I think people have the perception that Tantra is like all about this deep breathing and there's multiple orgasms and stuff like that. But in Tantra, like, you can have dirty sex. You can have sex for 5 minutes. Like, it's just acceptance of everything. And I guess from a sexual point of view, sex is very masculine in the way that we approach it. It has a purpose and it has an outcome. I find that Tantra really kind of brings in a feminine element to it as well, where it's like, it's boundless. There's no time. You can have sex for as long as you want because there's nowhere to get, there's nowhere to be.
Yeah.
It's just actually enjoying your own pleasure during that time and really connecting, whether that is through eye gazing or touching your partner. I'm sitting in like this feeling at the moment. I'm like, it's really beautiful. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I feel like this is a massive part. So, like, what am I trying to say? Sex that is unsatisfactory in a relationship amounts to a large percentage to the overall satisfaction. Sex that is satisfactory in a relationship amounts to a small percentage to the overall satisfaction of a relationship. So, and we all know that being in a relationship for a long period of time with someone, the sex can diminish or completely demise. And it's like, how do you reconnect with that partner? How do you reconnect and keep the desire alive with that person for, years to
Can
come.
you answer that in 30 seconds?
Yeah, can you answer that? Can you?
Can you give us a...
I'm just asking for a friend.
Yeah.
Just for a friend.
Well, think about it this way, guys. Like, at the beginning of your relationship, everything's so hot and sexy because it's the unknown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, who is this person? What do they look like with their clothes off? What are they going to be like and feel like when I'm with them? And it's hot, you know, it gets you going. But after a period of time, you know each other's moves,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's kind of like a race to an orgasm
Mm.
because it's like, okay, well, you do this and I'll do this, and then, okay, we'll pump our genitals together and then, all right, we'll roll over and go to sleep. So it's really taking it back to basics, I think, with sex as well, and incorporating everything. And like I said, we've been taught that sex is functional. It's P and V, and that's it. It's really incorporating everything. So the foreplay, you know, the masturbation, like actually taking sex completely out of the equation and just laying there with your partner naked and you know, being with them, like if it's hugging or, you know, kissing, like completely just changing it up all the time. And I guess that confidence piece comes in where you can actually go, okay, well, you know, my desire is to try bondage, or my desire is to you know, have a threesome, and having really open, vulnerable adult conversations about, okay, well, this is what you want. You know, it's not a thing for me, but where's our common ground? Where's our compromise? You know, what can we do to make sure that you feel satisfied and pleased in that sense, but then I'm not overstepping my boundaries and completely, you know, like hurting myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, isn't it? Because especially when you're younger, I know it was more about pleasing the other person and doing, but you'd overstep your boundaries to some extent by doing that, and then you feel resentful or hurtful, and then you've got the pressure of society going, well, you know, especially for females, if you have sex, you know, too often, or you dress all one way, you're a slut, you're promiscuous, whereas for men, it's almost like, you know, they're there to do that, and it's all okay. So, yeah, coming away from that stigma, being comfortable but not overstepping your boundaries, I think is a really important factor, growing up especially.
Is it? So you mentioned confidence as well.
Yeah.
So for a relationship, for a man and woman, or man, woman, whatever the relationship is, if someone feels though that they're lacking confidence in there, could that be a blockage within the actual, I guess, you know, in the sexual life? Do you reckon that's a... And how do you overcome that?
So you get a relationship coach.
A relationship... Yeah, you might get the wrong people phone calling you after this conversation if you give out your number, I think.
Most of Liam's friends.
So, okay, think about it this way, right? So if someone's lacking in confidence, just say a woman is lacking in confidence in herself and her body. She's not going to show up in the bedroom and open fully to pleasure. She is going to be worried about what she looks like naked. She's going to worry that, you know, do I smell? You know, am I, like, what's this angle look like? So she's not going to relax, and you need to relax to be able to actually orgasm. You need to feel safe to be able to orgasm with your partner. So that confidence piece plays a massive part in the way that you're relating. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's more of a...
And then even in the sexual sense, not having the confidence to speak up and say, okay, I don't like this, or can you do this a different way? Unfortunately, women have it very much ingrained in us to not speak up, and our throats are actually linked to our pussies, to our vaginas.
No way.
Yeah, so whilst if you're a woman, it doesn't speak her truth and isn't confident to speak during lovemaking, she can still have sex, but she won't open fully. Yeah, so it's so important that women actually learn to speak their truth and open up their throat chakra. Yeah.
So how do you do that? Like for a guy, because guys are different to girls, right? So how do you open that up? Like for a guy, we're just like, we want to rip their clothes off. You know, when, as you said, it's masculine energy, right?
Yeah.
So how does that masculine energy how can we be, I guess, a little bit more feminine to have that level of understanding?
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Slow down and ask her, do you like this? Do you want this longer? Like, communicate during sex. Like, it doesn't need to be something where there should be a lot of communication. You know, do you want this faster, harder, whatever? And I guess for guys, like, I love that you say that, because guys do come with that masculine force and it's fucking sexy. But also sometimes it's like, back off and just take your time with me, you know, and
every day is different, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You ladies change your mind every 2 seconds in everyday life.
The beauty of the feminine.
That's it. You just change your mind. What am I going to wear today? What am I going to do this? What am I going to do? Blah, 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 blah. Change your outfit 14 times before you go out.
Does that correlate to, I mean, I think for females, we're also driven to what happens outside of the bedroom that then translates in the bedroom. If you feel safe, if you feel secure, if you feel like you have good communication, then that all transpires into the bedroom. If you don't have those things, then you already feel blocked off. And, you know, I don't want to open sexually to you. I'm upset. We don't communicate. All of that sort of thing.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. And I'll tell you, like, from an energetic point of view, so we have positive and negative poles in our body. So the female, our positive pole is our heart and our negative pole is our pussy. For a man, your positive pole is your cock and your negative pole is your heart. So to open a woman up sexually, you need to focus on her positive pole first, so her heart. This is where women need to feel love before we actually open up to a man in the bedroom. Where a man, to feel love, you need to open up in the bedroom first, and then it transcends up your body.
Yeah.
That's a mismatch with relationships when you first meet, right? The woman's in love and they want to do everything for the male. Male's like, I just want to have sex. And then the lady has sex with them, and it starts to get, you know, and she's still on this, you know, notion of, I don't know if he loves me. He's like, this is great sex. And she goes, no, not for me. I don't feel loved. I don't feel cared for. See you later. And he's like, what do you mean? I come back, you know, and it's all this mismatching of timing and energy, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that, and this is another point, I'm very passionate about the lack of sex education in, like, the world, but you know, younger girls need to understand that as soon as you make love to a man, you're actually, like, biologically letting off hormones that actually create bonds to that guy. So as soon as you start sleeping with him, you're going to actually start thinking that you're in love with them, and you haven't really figured out if you are in love with them or not. So you know, we're then having those fantasies about, okay, is he the one, you blah 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 blah, and this guy's like, well, I'm just having a great time. And then that's where, you know, I guess. So
for females, is there any ever chance of just purely being male and having sex with absolutely no bonding thought process? Because for me, it's never happened. It's all, even though I go, no, that was just what, you know, and you feel, it's somewhat deflated in a way if you don't get that phone call and whatnot. Is there?
Look, I'm going to say no. Like, I've tried it too, and I always fall in love. Like,
I'm marrying that person in my head. By the time they walk out the door, right? Oh, yeah, white wedding. And that was the basis of my teenage and 20s.
Yeah, but I think also on another level is, like, why are you looking for just empty sex like that? Like, what's missing within you where you're going out and wanting just to have sex for sex sake? You know, because I've also gone out and just done that, and then I've gone, oh, wait a minute, I'm actually really feeling really needy within me, and I'm looking outside of myself to fill that void that I could just fill with myself. So, look, each to their own. I'm sure there are women out there who can have the casual and walk away feeling really empowered. I guess, I haven't been able to master that.
Even guys, though, still feel empty doing like just going out every weekend, just trying to pick up a new girl. Eventually, you're going to feel that way. You know,
like it is empty.
I was in a relationship for 5.5 years, from when I was 18 to 24 years old. So I missed my late teens and early 20s on that, you know, being single. And then I was single for the next 4 years and going on dates every week. And I thought it was great at the start, but then towards the end, you're thinking that you want something more than that, you know, like you want, even from a guy. So just to be general, like, guys still feel the same as what girls do, maybe in a different way, but we can still feel empty from sleeping with a lot of girls as well.
Yeah, Good.
Just thought I'd share that
Yeah,
that
I
little
think
bit of
that's
because I'm just doing it for the. I'm just
We're
letting
like,
you know because
really?
guys generally think that. Yeah, you think that guys would just want to go out and just do the deed and you can get fucked. Maybe that person, that guy, will eventually turn around and want that.
Inherently,
That
we're after
relationship.
companionship, right?
Yeah.
As no human is an island, and I think if they do say that they're willing to live by themselves, they don't need anybody else. Their emotional blueprint was screwed at the start because they say children by the time they're 6 have an emotional blueprint based upon their environment. So if that, if a child's brought up with nothing but love and caring, then they have that blueprint inherently. Anyway, it's not to say they'll get hurt or something terrible will happen, but they've got a good foundation to come back to.
Yeah.
Whereas if they don't have that for the first 6 years, and it's horrible to think what some children go through, then that will impart how they do seek a companion or whether they do.
Yeah. And I guess also that, like, from an energy point of view, everyone that you do sleep with, you're taking on their energy and they're taking on yours. And I've had, like, my own experiences where I have felt really, really shit after sleeping with someone and understanding where they were in their life. I'm like, okay, like, I was taking on all of that energy and it didn't make me feel very good. And so you've got to, like, it's really fun and it makes you feel like validated and, like when you're first single and stuff like that. But on an energetic level, you've really got to learn what's actually happening when you're going out and you're just constantly having unconscious sex and you're taking on all these people's energies, and then that energy just stays within you. So understanding that and then being more stringent with who you're sleeping with. And I'm not saying don't go and have casual sex, but actually have a bit more of an understanding about you, your body, and who you want to have and share that experience with. You can have I've had some amazing sexual experiences with men I'll never speak to again, but I think I picked them very, very well. Yeah, instead of going out and getting drunk and
So how do you pick them? So
great question.
For both.
Good
segue. How do you pick that person, male and female?
Yeah, cool.
When you're not drunk.
Yeah, when you're not drunk. Because drunk is it's messing with your state. So there's 4 points in your body. You've got your head, you've got your heart, you've got your intuition, you've got your sex center. And a lot of the time when we go and we have casual sex, it's like the sex center is raring. Like, it's like, okay, that person's hot, I'm going to fuck him. And you go for it, right? You're laughing because you know it's true.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
So, but connecting with the other 3 centers within your body and going, okay, does my mind say yes to this person? Does my heart say yes to this person? Is my intuition going, yeah, it's like a hell yeah, go for it. Even though you know that maybe it's not going to turn into a relationship, you can still do that dance and you can still have that experience. But checking in with all your 4 centers before having sex with someone is going to make sure that the sex that you do have is going to be more aligned to you and you won't have those
regrets.
Correct.
Because and you're right, there are some people that walk out the door and you're like, thanks, see you later.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
And then other times it's like, oh my gosh, you just left me feeling like horrible, regretful. So that's completely true. I get that. I think making sure that they are aligned.
So where do you think, if you're going to meet this person, where's the best environment to try and, I guess, meet the...
Looking for dips?
No, I'm just... I'm in a relationship. She'll kill me if I'm thinking that. Even thinking those thoughts. But, like...
sell them.
If I've been I've been single for 4.5 years, I go to the pub, and that's where I'm going to meet, or go to a I don't know, a nightclub or something like that. That's generally where you think of, but then that alcohol is that barrier. Isn't it, to try and develop that false confidence, and then you wake up with the regrets. So what type of environment is a better environment to try and... there's no environment. Like, I mean, because you've got the platforms of online dating, for example.
Exactly.
You got, what, do you go to a cafe? Where is the best place, if there is one?
I don't really think that there is a best place. It's just understanding you and what you want, right? And you're going to attract whoever you attract at your vibrational level into your life. So, do you go and do you. But understand that if you're going to like plow yourself with alcohol, you know, it's a different form of you, and you're not going to have that really aligned experience. But you know, I don't really have a how-to in that sense. Yeah. But
I think social media platforms have probably given a greater rise for that, and maybe, I don't know, I've never done online. I did RSVP twice, very unsuccessfully. But I think you can tell maybe by the conversation you're having with that person prior to meeting them, it might give you their energy levels.
Oh, absolutely. Like you need to be having a conversation and a dialogue with that person, but understanding and tapping into your energy and going, okay, does this feel good? But yeah, like are we having fun? Like
coming back to that intuition as well.
Correct. Yeah, it's your
and
second
look,
brain.
if in doubt, join a gym.
So yeah, that's what I was going to say. So
a grappling gym.
A grappling gym.
We get to touch people.
Yeah. So that's right though, isn't it? Like if you want to attract the person who, I mean, you want to attract that ideal person who you think that, you know, for me, it's someone who is fit.
Yeah.
It's a girl who is, you know, into her fitness, into her health. So
yeah.
It's going to a place like a gym, and then you know, not trying to be a pickup artist in the gym, but that's where I'm going to find that person.
Yeah.
How I found my relationship was actually going to a boxing fight night, and she punched me in the face, and she punched the love into me. That's what we continue to say that. But then,
did she really?
She punched me in the face on that first date because I'm just being cheeky, and I'm like, well, she was a ring girl at a fight night, and then I was there to watch my best mate's wife, who also was a ring girl.
Yeah.
So we were there to watch her, but then her friend, which is now my partner, was a ring girl as well. So I just said to her afterwards, I'm like, well, yeah, you're a ring girl. You've been around it. Can you fight as well? Come and show us what you got. And before I even put my hands up, she went, boom. I'm like, shit, I'm in love with this girl now.
She's also a paramedic. I thought you would have done that. Come and find me lying on the floor and give me mouth to mouth.
Oh, really? No, I'm not that cheesy. I'm a cheese ball, but I'm not that cheesy. So you're into your fitness as well. How important is that to have a healthy sexual relationship?
Yeah, great question. Because like having a good sex life does not start in the bedroom. It starts outside of the bedroom, and how you are in all areas of your life. Are you happy? Like, are you happy in your career? Are you happy with the people that you hang around with in terms of your friends and stuff like that? How are you showing up in your life? Are you healthy? Are you eating well? Are you exercising? And all of that does contribute to how you're showing up in the bedroom. I know for myself, if I haven't exercised and I start to feel like I'm filling out, I don't feel sexy. So then I'm not going to want to really take my clothes off and stuff, and So it has a massive contribution to how you show up in the bedroom, and even just how you show up in your relationship. Like understanding how to manage your stress, manage your mindset, all those things are so important, mind, body, and soul.
So from a guy's perspective, the more you work out, the more testosterone you get, which makes you feel more masculine, that masculine energy. So it's actually more dangerous in some ways for that alignment, unless you have that essence of self-awareness around it. Does that make sense?
No, tell me more.
Okay, so if I'm going to the gym, I'm a gym buff, I'm feeling more confident because I'm building more testosterone, because that's the emotion that, Hormone.
Yeah.
I haven't had enough coffee. I've had too much coffee. I'm not too sure. But yeah, you increase your testosterone levels, which it's the masculinity hormone, isn't it? So then when you find that partner, you're going to have that confidence, thinking I'm the man. Yeah, exactly right. But then in that, when you have that partner, you might feel as though that you're too masculine, then you might not have that masculine feminine energy. So do you think that essence of self-awareness for a guy, if he is going to be training, is important as well?
No. Like, if training is something that you like doing and it does heighten your masculine, then you're just going to attract a very feminine female, because that's what creates sexual polarity, is the opposites of two poles, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, so don't think that, oh my gosh, I need to manage my masculine. Like, it's sexy as hell.
Yeah.
And as long as it's resourceful and as long as you're using it in an empowered way, it is damn sexy. But just know that you're going to attract a very feminine female, which is probably what you want.
Yeah, exactly right.
It just comes back to that self-awareness, and I think that goes in every part of your life, whether it's sexuality, whether it's fitness, exercise-wise. You know, I always say the best two things anybody can learn about themselves is their blood pressure and their heart rate. And what it means, you know, and knowing now their sexuality, their spirituality, what makes them tick. I think people are becoming less and less self-aware because they can Google that shit, right? Oh, what's maximum heart rate? Not what does it relate to, or how do I increase my testosterone, but how can I channel that? You know, becoming really self-aware in every aspect of your life is really important.
That's, I guess, what I was trying to get at. Like it's important to train, but it's also important to build that self-awareness around understanding that you may train more, but then you got to have that dance. I think, as you were mentioning before.
Absolutely. But know that, like, you know, you're going to be a very masculine man. Like I said, you're going to attract a very feminine female, and she is going to test your masculinity to make sure that you're going to be able to be there for her and stand unwavering for her while she is in her mess and her chaos.
These bloody tests. What are these tests? Tell me a little bit more. But what would be an example of a test? So then I could be a bit more aware to it.
Well, honey, will you take out the garbage?
Oh, you did this to me the other day.
Yeah.
And so what? So that's so. What do I do in that situation? Not like you take out the garbage then. Obviously, that's the wrong answer. Had two sets of eyes, just like hawk eyes on me. Then
I hope my Abby's listening.
But then that's interesting though. Just before we go on that, if I say yes, dear, I'll take out the garbage. A man feels as though that he's not being more masculine towards her. You know, does that make sense?
Okay, tell me more about that. Why, like, in what way would you feel masculine?
Well, I just feel like
being told what to do.
Yeah, you know, like it brings me back to a childhood thing. It's like, oh yes, dear, you know, like, oh God, like I'm not being that alpha male.
Can you take out the garbage without her having to ask?
Yeah, I guess I could. So that's all right. So that's the test.
Or maybe what you mean is like, can you hang out the washing versus? I mean, because I'm still in somewhat of a tradition. I don't want to take the garbage out. I'm happy to contribute to the mortgage. I'm happy to work, but there's some things I just don't like doing.
Oh my God, me too.
And taking the garbage out is one of those.
I'll take the garbage out, but I don't like doing the dishes. You do the dishes then, and I'll take the garbage out. That's what.
Compromise,
you know. But is that actually an example of us testing you?
Look, it can be, definitely. I mean, this is the thing. Like, in the masculine and feminine world, the masculine is the protector of love and the feminine is the creator of love. We want to know that we can come home and we can nest in our little castle and the man is going to protect our castle however he does protect it, right? And we are going to test him to make sure his masculinity is worthy of our vulnerability, of our femininity, of how deeply that we can love you guys, right? Because there is so much love within us, but we want you to be unwavering in your approach to us. That's, so I've got so many things running around in my mind that I want to say right now. So the most vulnerable state a woman can be in with her man is when she gives birth, when she passes a child through her body. We want to know that you are going to stand there next to us and you are going to be there whilst we are going through that, right? So, like for me personally, I have dated guys, and if they are scared of blood, I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. Like, I can't, like, how could I be confident that you're going to be there for me if I'm ever to have children with you? And that's just something innately with me. Like, it's not, I guess, across the board with females, but you know, we do test.
So,
definitely.
see, that's what I guess what I'm trying to figure out, because every girl is different.
Yeah, every girl is different. Absolutely, absolutely. Like, yeah, totally.
So then, in that example, if I was dating you, I'm always going, ooh, blood, but I'm a kidder. I'm a human. I like to joke around, so it's not like I'm actually scared of blood. But so that might be a test that you're trying to get to me, and then you'd be like, okay, see you later. But
Okay,
I was actually joking.
Question,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I would still question. I'd be like, okay, you know, yeah.
Because I do it all the time to my partner, so she might be thinking, well, he doesn't like blood, he's out. So I don't know, like, it's just too confusing.
This is the thing as well, is that a lot of women wouldn't know that they're actually doing doing this.
Doing that.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not a conscious thing that we actually know that we're doing, but I know before learning this, I know that I have felt like a tightness within me when certain things have happened, and I have essentially tested the guy that I've been dating, and I've gone, oh, it didn't sit well with me. And I never really knew why, but learning this and learning that the feminine does test the masculine, I'm like, okay, that's just a test. All right, that's a test. And you can pass the test and you can not pass the test. And it doesn't, like, there's going to be forever. Like, we're going to test you always. So,
But we don't know the test. Like,
Yeah,
you're
that's
testing
okay.
us on something that we don't even know what we're doing. Like, we're just like, we're just sitting there scratching our head going, then we do nothing, and then we're a procrastinator. You know, it's like,
Date a guy.
that's why it's like a
That's your answer.
That's why it's like
tested.
peripheral. Yeah, date a guy.
I think you're right. I think there's certain things, and there's certain things that different females have. Like, I've always, unseemingly, now you brought it up, dated tradies, right? Because I want to know that you can fix the freaking light bulb, pull a ceiling down, fix my front. And my hubby's very hands-on, that kind of stuff. Still not taking the garbage out. But besides that, you know, I think there are those things that I know that you can protect or you can do, and they're usually pretty masculine as well. So
how to lay a blueprint for a male to female? How do you try and figure out these tests?
Well, guys, you can't. You can't. You actually need to work on just being solid in your masculinity and showing up, like having a purpose, allowing her to, not trying to fix her, and allowing her to be who she is without trying to fix her, allowing her to show all of her emotions without labeling her crazy or cray-cray or anything like that, because again, that's going to make her shut down, because we are full of emotions, and we want to know that we are able to be our mess. We're able to show who
hot
we
mess.
truly exactly.
It's a total hot mess.
You guys are going to be like okay with it, and tell us essentially that you're not going anywhere, because it kind of comes from a fear that, and this is like from primal, dating back into primal era, where the man would always want to be with the guy who's going to protect us from the lions and tigers and bears, right? We just want to know that you guys aren't going to leave us in our most vulnerable state.
Yeah, I understand. So that says that women think peripheral and men think tunnel. Is that right?
Yeah, diffused awareness. Yeah.
Is that correct? So you think of all situations that potentially could happen where guys are like, we're going this way.
Yeah.
So it's more for a male to understand that. Like, females are thinking of all possibilities. That's the beauty of the female mind. You can think of all possibilities. So then, for a guy, it's just to think that, well, a lady might think of already getting married to you right now, and it could be your first date, and just being accepting of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh God, I've conquered it.
Going.
That's the masculine energy come back.
It's so funny. It's like, you'll be like, give me the how-to guide.
Yeah, give me
there's no how-to guide. I can't give you that. Like,
give me the test. What's the test? I've failed the test already. I don't know what the test is.
Now you're asking me. I think it comes back to, there's so many things that got to align for that long-term or medium-term or whatever relationship to occur, right? You know, you've got to be aligned somewhat with your masculinity, femininity, with your values, with how how well you know yourself. My brother once said, and I dated this guy, I was like, I really like him, he's great on paper, but he says okily dokily.
Right? Ned Flanders.
And I was like, and he goes, you know what? If you really loved him, that wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so true. And so there's my test. If you say okily dokily and I don't get offended by it, then I must really love you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, I don't know if that helps you.
Not at all. I just heard okily dokily. And it doesn't work if I'm not dating males.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Look, it would be good to date a male, but I'm not sexually attracted to him. So I like hanging out with my mates, but that's as far as it goes.
You've got to have then just really open, vulnerable conversations with your girlfriend.
With my partner.
Yeah.
We do. I think we do.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I could be wrong. I've been tested.
Till she punches you in the nose.
Yeah, she punched me in the nose. That was a test of my masculinity. I've obviously passed that test. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. High five. Self-five here.
Oh,
So what... Okay. how do we make sure if there's we'll talk about a blueprint for a man, how do we ensure that there's a blueprint for a woman to a man as well? Do you know from the men's side, from a lady to figure out a man? Because we're talking about how to figure out a lady. Do you think we're simple to figure out?
I think women generally try to complex you guys and make you more complex than what you really are. Like you guys pretty much like you say what you want, you say what you mean.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is women assume that everything that your partner does, he has done for a good reason. Just find out that reason. You know? Because I think in a lot of relationships, women and men, we try and make our partner be like us. And that's the whole reason why you guys are attracted to each other is because you're opposites and you bring your own flavor to it, right? So, I just went blank.
It's all right. We're podcasting. That's what we'll...
But that's an interesting point.
Sometimes we go blank in conversation.
I always have that because we are opposites as you can get, my hubby and I. Like I'm like, we don't have
your
anything
hubby?
in common.
Is she your hubby now?
Well, I call him my hubby because partner... People leave that open to interpretation. He's not really my boyfriend. I don't say fiance, so I just say hubby. Even though we're not married. But
you've been probably saying it since the first date, though, haven't you?
Yeah, probably. I had him ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go. You're mine. You're mine, Tom.
Poor love. But yeah, we are complete opposites. There's, and I was like, we don't have anything in interest. And then he said to me the other day, because we've got a wedding to go to in Orange, he said, weddings are our thing. He goes, you always say that we don't have anything in common. And I'm like, oh yeah, we both love weddings. But that's it. It's complete opposite and bringing so many different flavors and, making sure that you do work on that consistently to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other thing can I just say about females to males is that understanding that both of our brains are wired differently, and whilst we can multitask and we've got everything going at one time, guys have compartments for different areas. So they have a compartment for football or for sport, and they have a compartment for work, and they have a compartment for sex, and they have a compartment for love, and they have a compartment for nothing. And they generally will do nothing in that compartment. And what I love to encourage women to do is that we will be running around the house and we'll be cleaning and we'll be doing everything, and we'll come home and we've got a million things going on in our mind. And he'll be sitting on the couch and we'll be like, hey, babe, blah, 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 blah. And he has not turned his head away from the television. And then when he finally does, he'll look up you and he'll go, what? And that'll enrage us. And what I try and encourage you to do
She's already gritting her teeth, Luke.
is say, hey babe, can I have your moment? Can I have 2 minutes of your time soon? Or, when you finish that TV show, can I have 2 minutes of your time? Give him a time frame. Allow him to actually transition out of whatever he's doing into you, and then you'll have his full attention instead of thinking that his brain works the same as our brain and that we can do everything. But they don't, and that's why we love the masculine. That's why we love guys, is because when we give you something to do, you do it, and you'll be focused on that. We're completely diffused, and
it's so funny because that happens at the end of a conversation as well. And I'll be talking, and then he'll walk away, and I'll be like, I thought we were finished.
Yeah.
No,
there is no end to this.
I'll tell you when.
Yeah.
I can talk for days, and it's not finished yet.
I'm only getting started.
That's right. He thinks I've told him what I've had to tell him, and that's it. Whereas I could go on to a different tangent and talk about something completely different.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought the conversation was over.
Yeah.
No, I thought we were going to talk for a chat. No, your girlfriends are for chatting, and it must be that because women can talk underwater.
Yeah.
Guys are like, give me the facts. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. But we try and fix everything. That's the thing. You tell us about your problem at work, and we're thinking, okay, this is what you should do then. Yeah. And then you're like, well, I didn't want you to fix it. I just wanted you to listen. Is that right or not?
Yeah.
I'm getting this more and more, girls.
So what I would encourage is for the female to turn up and say, I want to tell you something, but I don't need you to fix it.
Yeah.
But then also you, whenever she comes to you and tells you about something, you say, do you want me to listen to you, or would you like me to provide some, do you want some help?
After or before she says anything?
Before or after. Before you even start to, chat back to her. Say, do you want me to listen to this, or
Do you want me to find a solution?
would you like some help with a solution or something?
So it's
And
questions.
she will give you her outcome. I want you to help, or I want you just to listen to me, and I'll upload and vent, and
Yeah.
then she'll be fine. And
But do be
It's so-
prepared for her to change her mind halfway.
Oh yeah, 100%. I find that fascinating what you said about the TV thing, because that happens all the time.
Yeah.
And I do have a compartment for nothing. And then if she sometimes asks me like, "Why are you so quiet?" Because I'm naturally a bubbly person. I'm like, "I'm just tired. Just want to chill."
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
She's like, "But what? Why? I need you to be upbeat, Liam. But what's going on? Is everything all right with work?" I'm like, "No, I'm sweet.
Yeah.
Just want to watch TV."
Yeah.
She's like, "Well, now you're not really saying much to it. Why are you not even saying much?" I'm like, "Oh, fuck." And then I start going, "Well, fuck, I don't know what to say now." And they're like, "Well, now you're arguing with me." I'm like, "Oh my god."
That is such
I just,
our house.
jeez.
Now you
Jeez.
can tell her I'm in my nothing compartment.
I'm in my nothing compartment. Yeah, that's it. I'm in my eating. Like, when you shut me up is when I'm sleeping, probably watching Netflix or eating.
Okay.
So that's the times.
Yeah.
So if I'm shutting up, it's because I'm eating
Yeah.
or I'm watching Netflix.
Yeah.
Or what was the last one? I can't even remember.
Sleeping,
Sleeping, yeah, exactly. Well, sometimes I talk in my sleep as well.
I think.
That's when we can manipulate you.
Exactly right.
You gonna change your bank account details?
Details, yeah. I want $10,000 ring, not a $10 ring.
True.
Do you have anything else, or do we have we covered a lot? I don't even know if we could get started. We could keep going on sex all day, couldn't we?
Yeah.
I don't know when to stop
Do you
this
have any other questions?
because I don't want to. Do you have any questions?
No, I think we've just opened a can of like great worms in terms of stuff makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, you've just
Mm.
made stuff that in my head I'm like, oh, there is a reason, or there is a difference, and to embrace those differences
Yeah.
rather than and it is a conversation I have. And Tom's always like, just love me. I'm like, I do love you, but I love you more if you took the bin out. And these are the conversations. And it's true, you should, I suppose, underlying all of that is just love them,
Yeah.
and take away your expectations, because that's what blurs the lines.
Yes. 100%. Yeah.
Take away your just.
Expectations break our hearts.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, it totally does.
Yeah.
So I expect you to just take out the bin without me having to ask you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about friendships for male and female outside the relationship?
All right.
What about what happens there? Like, how do you, if you say me, how do I know that Tom doesn't get annoyed at me for doing that? Because if it was me, I wouldn't really get annoyed because I trust the girl. But how do you limit that sort of jealousy, I guess, from both sides? Because if a guy's going to a coffee, can guys and girls be friends without a sexual attraction? That's the question I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, they can.
Mm.
Yes.
So
But jealousy is fear.
yeah.
It's expressed differently. So what are you fearful of?
No, I was just opening up a can of worms, another can of worms.
Yeah.
I know that I'm looking at it from previous experiences. At the moment now, in a relationship, I'm happy in a relationship, so I'm pretty cruisy. I don't really have a.
Yeah.
If she wants to go have a coffee, but I guess there's got to be some rules behind it though, don't you reckon?
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
if you're having a coffee with a single guy, and I don't know, like and you feel like he's calling you and stuff like that outside of, then it's not jealousy, but you should be able to let your partner know that dude's probably into you,
Yeah. But you've got to have that awareness too.
Yeah,
like
exactly
the girl
right.
that's going for coffee is that, no guy really puts his time into a woman unless he's interested in her. So
That's what I try and tell her.
Yeah. So okay, all right. Yeah.
So do you think there's got to be rules around it? I'm just spitballing. Like, do you think that me and Katie hanging out? Like, I have no, like, she's like a sister to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
But then
Like some new person that is like new on the scene.
I don't even think
They're
I've met.
growing a
I don't even think I've met Tom face to face. But I reckon I'd get along with Tom. I reckon I'd be good mates with him.
Yeah,
And
I think that's good too.
I reckon for Emily, my partner, to hang out with a guy like me, because I know that I've no other interests at heart. But sometimes what your friends have done in the past and those sorts of things. So
Yeah.
is there certain rules, or is it just being open and honest with the person, saying, oh, look, in this situation, I find that he might be into you, or in this situation, well, you know what, he's probably just a friend. Like, is it just a situation thing, or do you think there should be rules set in place, or is the rules a turn off for a girl? Like, I mean, I'm trying to think of the feminine sort of situation here.
Sure. I don't like, this is the thing, relationships are so individual. So there's no one size fits all. So what's going to work for you and your partner is not going to work for you and your partner, right? And you need to, like, this is where going to your friends for advice can be really detrimental to your relationship, because they're like, well, me and so-and-so do this, and this works for us. So then you think that blueprint's going to work for you, but it doesn't, because you're dealing with two other different people, right? So, like, I talk to couples about a couple bubble, right? And that's like the protective shield that goes around you and your partner. And you make the agreement of what kind of is in the shield, right? So, we agree to not cheat on each other. We agree not to deceive each other or whatever it is. When it comes up like so essentially this person is a third in the relationship, and you haven't really discussed the agreement around the third. And, he's like a light threat, right? And it's a conversation that needs to be had, but also her awareness around,
how it makes you feel.
How it makes you feel.
Yeah, I think that's, good communication overcomes so much of that. Is that if you were just express that, you were feeling uncomfortable with this, and she could somewhat reassure you with her actions and the trust, then it'd be okay. But if you can't, then there's obviously an intuitive issue there that, and like you say, jealousy is built on fear.
Correct.
And I think we've all had it, and I've been there.
Yeah.
The worst case situation is that they leave you for that other person.
Correct.
Right? And what would happen if that was to occur? We'd be left by yourself. Are you comfortable being by yourself?
Yes.
Is the underlying issue.
Yes.
And if you are, then it should never be an issue.
Yes.
Because it's the ego that gets hurt.
Yes.
Right? So if they run off with somebody else, then now I love time by myself. I love my partner as well.
Yeah.
But, I'm at a point, and it's taken a long bloody time to get there, that if you do run off with somebody else, my ego is going to be torn. I'm a Leo. So that's
me too.
there you go.
I know, there's so many Leos in the room. My partner's a Leo as well.
So what date are you?
28.
Of
July.
July, 15th of August. So, that ego is going to be torn down big time and hurt, but I'm still okay to be by myself.
Yeah.
So I think that's ultimately, what that jealousy is stemmed from.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
In the past, I haven't been in that position. I haven't been comfortable with myself, spending time with myself.
Yeah.
But now I am, I think.
Yeah. I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Find somebody better.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's it. And this is the thing, like, we all hang on to our relationships thinking that is the be-all and end-all and all the rest of it. But, it's also, if that person leaves, that person was never there for you. Like, if that person leaves, that person was never yours. And we don't ever own our partners, and there will always be someone who is more aligned to you, and there's always lessons to be learned, and the whole beauty and journey of life is just the lessons, and people come into our lives for certain periods of time, whether they be friendship or an intimate relationship, and they teach us about ourselves, because the partner that you have in your life right now is a reflection of you, and she will show up and point her fingers in all your little triggers that you need to work on. And the problem is that when we're in relationship with someone, they will ignite our triggers, and then we'll lash back at them, saying they need to change. And it's actually the partner doesn't need to change, because they're just showing up, doing them, being themselves. And it's us that needs to go, oh, hang on a minute. This trigger is like, okay, I feel jealousy. Why do I feel jealous? I feel fear. Is that an ego thing, or am I just worried of actually losing something? Or, and you kind of like unravel what needs to really be worked on. What's the wound here that needs to be healed?
Yeah.
Because the pinnacle is self-actualization, right? Once you know yourself inside out and comfortable with that, then realistically, no external things, they might ping you and think, wake you up, but it shouldn't actually hurt the person that you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're sorry.
So you're okay, go.
Oh, you're constantly going to be tested. Like, I've learnt lessons, and I'm like, cool, want them. I'm like, I'm good. And then something will come along and shake me. I'm like, and it's like that ego again going, I should have known this, but it's also being forgiving on yourself, being kind to yourself and going, it's okay, Lauren. Like, get back up, dust your knees off. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like,
Readjust that crown.
yeah, exactly.
What about playing devil's advocate?
Yeah.
What if it's another test though? What if she's hanging out with a guy as a test to see how I would react to that situation? I'm just thinking curiosity. Like, what if it is a test? We talked about women testing men all the time.
Yeah.
What if it's a test that she doesn't think that
You love her.
I love her enough, so
You're
then
gonna fight for her.
I'm going to fight for her, you know? Like,
Yeah.
how do you, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Neither do I. And this is the thing.
It's just
we're,
individual.
We're so hypothetical
yeah,
that if it was really happening, I would have to talk to her.
yeah, I
To
gotcha.
understand and get to her understanding, her map of the world, like I explained before, and what is she believing about this, and what are her values around this, and you know, what are her references for relationship, and all the rest of it, and going through her 6 core human needs and like all that kind of stuff to really understand why is she showing up like this, and what is she getting out of it.
Mm.
Because that's literally everything we do, regardless if we like what we're doing or we don't like what we're doing, we're getting something out of it. It's giving us, it's fulfilling some need on a resourceful level or an unresourceful level.
Mm.
And the language of love, do you believe in that? That we all, what is that book, 7 Languages of Love?
James Chapman,
Yeah.
5.
5, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was a big eye-opener, again, because we're polar opposites. And what I valued was, you know, my money's spent on basically education and travel. And that's where I am. Whereas my partner's very materialistic, needs to have the house, the bricks and mortar, you know, have money in the account. I'm like, no, we're going to Vietnam next week. You know, I just want experiences. So learning how to gel that as well has been huge.
Absolutely. And I think the thing is that we usually love our partners the way that we like to be loved. So if we like giving gifts and we just shower our partner with gifts and then they're not really appreciating it, we're like, fuck them, bitch.
Yeah, that's right.
It's actually like she doesn't care about gifts, she cares about being touched and hugged and kissed.
Yeah.
But if we learnt that, we would be able to love her the way that she likes to be loved. Yeah. So I think that book is like Relationship 101. I think everyone should read it. It's by James Chapman. 5 Languages of Love.
You go. There's another thing to add to your list.
Writing this down.
In an audible book, I'm sure. So you can just listen to it on your way to work.
Yeah, I'm sure it's an audible.
Like
yeah, it's a
podcast.
great book, and there's an assessment that you can do in it as well. And you can do it. You can find it online.
There's your test.
Oh, bloody test again. Thought I'd finish high school to get rid of these tests.
No, never.
Never.
So where can people find you? Have you got a website? Like where can, because I'm sure there's going to be, like, for me, an eye-opener, ear-opener, like where can people find more information?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I've got my website, laurenblundell.com. I'm also on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Varying, like, my name's Lauren Blundell. It's pretty hard, like, you find me. My Instagram handle, I'm probably on a lot more, so laurenblundell.coach. And I'm going to start a podcast soon, guys.
Yay.
And it's called Under the Covers. So,
Under the Covers? Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
I like
yeah,
it.
So definitely
Watch this space and hopefully being produced at the podcast.
Yeah, let's see how we go. Any final words of wisdom? Oh, we're just finishing that.
Any final words of wisdom? I guess just learn to love yourself unapologetically and love to learn all your flaws and know that your partner really deeply just wants to be loved themselves, and go on a path of self-discovery for the two of you and for the sake of your relationship. And you know, if you do have children, I think everyone will be better off when people are very self-aware.
I love that. Just everybody ultimately wants to be loved.
Yeah.
Deeply.
Yeah.
So I think if you think that of your partner and that they're not taking the bin out to piss you off, that you know,
and maybe everything they do, they're doing for a reason.
Yeah.
To find that reason. So if they're not taking the garbage out, just have a chat.
I'm going straight home, taking the garbage out. It's only happening now. Even if it's empty, I'm just going to
putting an alarm in my phone.
put an alarm on my phone
Every
once a
Monday
day,
night.
Exactly.
taking it out.
And it's not just a one-off.
There's nothing
it's
in the
every
garbage
week.
that Liam's just taken.
I'm just taken out.
Well, thank you very
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
coming in.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's been awesome.
It's been great. Yeah, God, an hour and a half goes like that, doesn't
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you so much for your time,
Thanks,
Lauren.
Lauren.
Been a pleasure. Cheers.